So I want to start today by talking about gay Republicans. Gay Republicans at one point thought, hey, you know what? They're going to accept us in the Republican Party. Gay marriage is now legal. It's kind of becoming a non-issue. And if we are for low taxes, if we are for low regulation, if we are about Christian values, whatever that means at the time that they say it within the context of the Republican Party will accept us because it's moved on to other things. And unfortunately, punctuated with last week's vote against marriage equality from 157 different Republicans in the House of Representatives, it is now abundantly clear that gay Republicans have failed at being integrated into the Republican Party. The Republican Party is seeing a sort of resurgence of overt homophobia. Now, it's important to understand that overt is the key word. The homophobia never went away from the Republican Party. There was this moment after gay marriage was legalized and Donald Trump became the Republican nominee where Donald Trump would say he's fine with gay people and gay marriage and just kind of look the other way. It's a non-issue. And quite frankly, on a personal level, I think Trump doesn't care at all about gay marriage. I think it's not even an issue he really cares about. But slowly but surely, and we're going to talk about this in the next segment, as the Christian element of the Republican Party has become more overtly nationalistic, and by that I don't mean they happen to be Christians and they are nationalists. I mean, they are Christian nationalists specifically. As the trans issue has gotten good, has made headway in reigniting some of these visceral cultural issues, social issues for Republicans, they've sort of been drawn back to the base fundamental homophobia that was a critical part of the Republican Party for a long time, but acutely at the end of the George W. Bush era and during the Barack Obama era. There was a period of time on the show where we would much more regularly cover the overt homophobia, old school homophobia from the Republican Party. In the Bush era and in the Obama era of the David Pakman Show, we were often talking about the outrageous homophobic tirades on the floor of the House and on various talk radio programs by right-wing Republicans. It was a much more common thing. And in the Trump era, there was far less of it. Now, I'm not saying all of a sudden the Republican Party was enlightened on gay rights. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is they were less overtly homophobic because they moved on to other things, including the trans issue. It's important to mention. Well, very interesting article now in the Texas Tribune. We failed. Gay Republicans who fought for acceptance in the Texas Republican Party see little progress. Gay Republicans who have fought for acceptance within the Texas GOP over the past 3 decades told the Texas Tribune progress has been excruciatingly slow. That's quite an understatement. Many of them have left the party, even as the number of log cabin Republicans in Texas continues to grow. Log cabin Republicans is a gay Republican group. And the article sort of tells the story of how there was this a period of time, I guess we would say, after the AIDS crisis, where there was the idea that, listen, we're gay, but we want low taxes and we want low regulation and we're Christian family values, whatever. And the Republican Party's a big tent and they'll welcome us probably as long as we have donor dollars. And there may have been a brief period of time where it seemed like that was a plausible thing, but it has stopped. And fundamentally, what this comes down to is there is a group of mostly wealthy white gay men who think we'll be accepted as the good guys as long as we more or less say the right things. They might not love us, but they'll look the other way about being gay, and will be part of the Trump GOP. They were never really going to be welcomed into the George W. Bush GOP. During the Obama era, it was this kind of transitional phase, and then the Trump GOP might welcome us, but it turns out that they don't. And it's a very similar thing to Caitlyn Jenner. Caitlyn Jenner, great. Caitlyn Jenner, Republican, doesn't like woke, whatever she understands that to mean, doesn't like liberals and all this stuff, but then gets booed out of CPAC because of course she did. Of course she did. And it would sort of be funny if it wasn't tragic on multiple levels. I'll tell you what some of those levels are. One level on which the continued homophobia and transphobia of the Republican Party is tragic is that it's 2022. And when you have a duopoly in the United States, there's two major parties. When one of those parties in 2022 remains openly transphobic and homophobic, you see how retrograde and recalcitrant the country is. If you look at some other countries, every country has homophobia, don't get me wrong, but there are countries, including some countries in Europe, some countries in South America to a lesser degree, with multi-party systems where you might have, 6 major parties and 5 are very much on the same page. Like, listen, of course gay people can get married. Of course nobody should be able to get fired for their real or perceived sexual orientation. And then you've got like one homophobic party. In the United States, we have a duopoly, and one of the two parties is still basically overtly homophobic. You have some Republicans who are like, listen, it's a decided issue. It's not like they're going to cheer gay marriage. It's not like they're going to cheer not being able to fire people because you believe that they're gay. But they'll say it's a decided issue and we're moving on to other things. But it is very retrograde. So that's one level on which it is tragic. The second level on which it's tragic is the Republicans who are gay, who are desperate to be accepted into this party that just doesn't want them. And they'll probably take their money in most cases under not protest, but sort of like turning their nose, you would say. But they're not going to like it. And that's sad as well, because listen, there's nothing wrong with being gay and wanting low taxes and thinking low taxes are the right thing. Okay, people have different views about what the level of taxation should be. But overall, the Republican Party is this movement that's much more than just low taxes. It's much more than just low regulation. It is increasingly a fundamentalist, Christian nationalist worldview, reactionary in ways that they don't even fully understand. And you'll see some examples of that later in the show when we look at the new Alex Jones conspiracy theories that even his followers don't get, but it's like it sort of sounds okay. And it's tragic on that level as well. But that's what it is. And it seems at this point, the movement for the gay Republicans to be integrated into the Republican Party, not going particularly well. Who doesn't love a good cereal? The crunchiness, the sweetness, it satisfies in a serious manner. But then you grow up and now all the healthy cereals are boring and bland and they get soggy. And this is where Magic Spoon comes in. It is that sweet, crunchy texture you loved from childhood with 0 grams of sugar, only 4 to 5 net carbs, perfect if you're doing keto, only 140 calories per serving, and packed with 14 to 15 grams of protein. Magic Spoon spent years developing the recipes. It's really the only cereal on the market to get the texture and the flavor right without the sugar and without a ton of carbs. They have flavors like cocoa, honey nut, fruity, peanut butter. Maybe you want to go adventurous. They've got blueberry muffin, maple waffle, cookies and cream, or cinnamon roll. That brings back memories. I love Magic Spoon. The whole team does. But if you don't, you'll get a full refund. But I know it's about to become your new favorite cereal. You'll get $5 off when you go to magicspoon.com/Pacman. The link is down below.